Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Real Talk with Ben podcast. Hope you had an amazing week. I hope you have been able to relax. I know it's been some nice weather. I know Jared and I were able to get out and do some stuff. So it's great weather. Hopefully you can get out. It's a little rainy today as we're recording this, but hey, we can't have every day. It's perfect. So hope you've enjoyed. If you're new, my name is Ben. This is my podcast where I talk with different guests like my brother. I talk about life. I talk about ministry. I actually talk about jobs. I talk about basically anything. Anything that I think it's intriguing that will also encourage you. Maybe you can take something away from it. But anyways, we're back again. We are back again this week with my brother. Jared is back.
Yeah.
We're 2 episodes in a row. See, I said he'd be back.
But blessing.
Oh, here we go again. It is a blessing. But Jared is back. We are excited to talk about something that Jared really does enjoy. It's funny. He'll probably give you the backstory on it, but it's just cool to see how my brother has kind of changed over the years and everything. And so, first thing I'm going to ask Jared is, Jared, tell us. Well, first, if you didn't know, we're talking about theater. If you didn't see the title, of the episode, but we're talking about theater. How Jared got involved, why he loves it. So, Jared, tell us before we start and going into detail on things, like how did you become involved in theater? Why did you start liking theater? How did that all start?
Well, I've always liked theater. I've always liked going to the musicals when we were younger and at our high school. I always liked enjoying it, but I never really thought about acting. I've always liked theater. You know, when we went to Lion King when we were younger in Dayton, I loved that. That was so awesome.
It was Columbus, by the way.
Whatever. And that was so much fun. And I was like, oh man, those guys are so good, and it was so cool. And then come senior year in high school, Mom always told me, it's like, hey, you should join musical. Oh, you have a voice. You should join musical.
Is that Mom's voice?
And yeah. And she also told me to join choir, but it's a different story. And so I was like, I had soccer, weightlifting. That was my excuse. I had soccer in the winter. And
Soccer.
And so I was like, I got soccer. I was going to cut in my time in soccer because soccer was number one. Well, senior year rolls around, comes winter, after soccer season, I'm like, I ended up joining choir senior year too. I took Mom's advice. So I did that. And then if we were in choir, we had to be involved with musical in some way. And I was like, well, I guess this is my opportunity to see if I even like it, I was like, and at that time, I thought I had stage fright. Like, I didn't like being on stage.
Because you were an introvert. If you remember from last week's episode, he was
an
introvert.
No, senior year is when I started.
Introvert.
Senior year is when I started getting out there.
He was an introvert.
Senior year is when I started getting out there, and I was like, man, I'm not gonna like this, but I'll
You can
go
tell
for
you
it
what
anyway.
you want to believe.
I'll go for it anyway. So I go for it, and I audition because I had to audition a week early because I went to Israel over the time they were auditioning, and so I couldn't be at the actual audition, so I had to audition like
he was special.
And so I auditioned, and then over in Israel, I found out I get one of the leads, and I'm like, oh no, like I actually have to do something now. Like I didn't think I was gonna get a big part. I was like, oh yeah, I'll just go for it, maybe sing in the chorus and be like a background character. Well, I am getting the lead, and that is the instant where I just absolutely fell in love with acting. But
first, explain what the lead was. The lead you got to ease into theater because the lead didn't have as many speaking.
It didn't have speaking lines, but that doesn't matter because there's a lot of miming, and you think miming's easy, and it's not. Okay, take it from this guy who had to mime every single word, and me and the guy who played the prince had to do a song where I mimed before he sang the words, and we had to time it out.
Let's be honest, though. You got all of your talent from myself and my father.
Okay, nope, that is a lie.
No, Dad and I, we know how to act. We have Dad was Teddy Roosevelt. I'm just always naturally a great actor. I'm in front of camera all the time. I'm just amazing.
Acting is not something you get genetics. It's not
genetics. Yes, it is. It's talent from within.
You just inherit
it from your genetics.
No.
But
that senior year high school was when, because I've always loved theater, but that's when I absolutely just fell in love with it and knew this is something I want to pursue in the future.
Yeah, so I remember I was in I think I was a junior in college when Jared was a senior, which seems like forever ago. And I mean, like Jared said, I mean, other than like our cousin Sarah, I mean, that was the only other person that really got into musical. I mean, the rest of us, it was either sports or band or some other iteration of things. I mean, for me, I was always, I always joked that I would always wanted to be in TV shows or whatever. But, for me, that just wasn't me, like, and of course people say now, well, you do YouTube. I'm like, that's totally different. That's just being yourself. There's nothing to memorize. Like difference probably between Jared and I is I can't memorize. I don't know if you can memorize stuff very well.
Well, I'm in theater, so yes.
Okay, well, I know people that are in theater that can't. But like, I can't memorize things very well. Like, it's hard for me to remember those kind of things. So for me, if anything, if I would ever have to, it'd have to be something where it's like you could stop and I couldn't do the whole. I have to memorize everything for the whole thing. So it was always cool to see how Jared was able to do that. And I think even when I went, because senior year, we always go on those senior trips, and we were able to go to a musical, Wicked, on Broadway. And for me, I never really I saw obviously The Lion King when we were younger, but when you're younger, you don't really get to
experience.
Yeah, you don't really understand what's going on, and you don't see it. Like, then being able to go to Wicked and seeing like the actual, Broadway, and seeing how much people put in, and then also going, even to Cedarville musicals and stuff. When I was in college, before Jared got there, like, you started like, wow, like this takes talent, and it's especially in college when everyone has all their other
harder.
schoolwork, especially if they're not a theater major and they're doing things, left and right. So that was really cool. Leading up to that, and so Jared, you went from high school doing theater, and then you kind of took a back seat a little bit.
Freshman year, yeah, I did. Yeah, I thought about it, but then I was like, college is a lot tougher. I got into my head that I probably wouldn't get a part anyway, so I was like, freshman year, and especially being a freshman, I've only been in one play, so I had no idea
but still,
what auditions were even like.
I told him that this is always Jared. This has always been Jared. He's always a guy that he'll wait a little bit too long to get involved in something. And then he regrets it. He did the same thing with high school with musical, and he did this.
College is not as bad though, because like sophomore year I was kind of involved. But then junior year is like, I've been like full blown involved, and I actually still have another year.
Talk about, like
high school, I just had.
Your freshman year of college. You sort of did something around media and stuff, because your freshman year, me and you, we had the Full Court Press radio show, which allowed, at least I noticed, it allowed Jared to kind of slowly get out of a show in college, and allowed him to kind of get out there and not just be, in your freshman shell. You were able to do something that people listened to, and people were able to get to know who you were. But then tell us, and obviously then you can kind of explain how the last 2 years have went with theater.
Yeah, well, sophomore year, obviously, the one I even auditioned for sophomore year ended up not happening because of COVID. But I auditioned for, I think it was Radium Girls. Didn't get a part. I was like, okay, it was my first time auditioning, so I didn't even know how to do it. I didn't even have a monologue at that point, because I was just like, I didn't know what to do. And then this past year, it had been in October, right after the fall show, because that's when they do, whatever. I was like, there's two, and there's one, the spring play, there's only one guy role, so I was like, I won't audition for that. Most likely I wouldn't get it anyway, because it's my first time. And then there's another one, it was supposed to be the musical, but since COVID happened, it changed to end up just being a comedy called Four Comic One Acts by Chekhov. Shout out to everyone who's in it, who's listening or watching, if you are. And so that I auditioned for that, and I ended up getting a part. Well, originally it was just supposed to be 3 understudy roles, so I wasn't really going to do any acting. I was just going to do the dancing, and then there was one. I had like a couple lines in the very end act where I just like sat at the table pretty much the whole time. So that was supposed to be it. But then sadly, one of the guys who I was understudying couldn't come back. And so I ended up getting that role, and then I started freaking out because this is over winter break. I was like, focusing on every other line. I was just freaking out. I was like, oh no, I actually have to do something now. I was like, I knew I was gonna have to do something, but like I already had it memorized, but now I was like, I actually had to have it memorized. And so I memorized them, and then I do it, and boy, that was the time of my life. It was a good time, and I really enjoyed playing that character, and people said I was funny, so. And a lot of people said I was their favorite character. So.
Now, what was the hardest part of, obviously you did one in high school, but, obviously like we said, the high school one was completely different. You didn't have many lines. what was the challenges that you faced in your first real musical where you're, or not musical, sorry, play or musical on theater where you actually had to do this multiple days in a row, longer than high school, multiple days in a row, and how to do that? What was the toughest part in that challenge?
Well, definitely. Well, I mean, I don't know if this was toughest because like memorizing comes pretty easy to me, but memorizing is definitely harder than it looks, especially when you have a bunch of lines to memorize, and then you get to the point where you're about to open the show and you're like, oh no, am I gonna forget my lines or not? So that was probably, and then also, like you said, it was like a total of like 6 days worth. So like maybe I think there's a total of 9 shows, I think. Yeah. And so since there was a total of 9 shows, we repeatedly just kept doing it in 2 weeks in a row, and it was just like it did get boring just because we knew what was going on and just kept going on. But at the same time, it was fun because each show there's a different audience, so they reacted differently to what was happening. So it was hard just because of how many shows it was, and it just got more tiring as it went on. But at the same time, it made it more fun because you never knew what the audience was going to react to.
Would you say that one of the challenging parts is doing, is it harder, do you think, and I don't know from other high schoolers, but like difference in the fact that you have so much schoolwork to do and tests and stuff? Like, was it a challenge to try to memorize that, but then also if you had to study for it, like all those different things?
Good thing is when we did the play, it was like at the beginning of a semester, pretty much. So there wasn't really a whole lot that we had to do. Like there was no like real exams. I mean, I had a couple like papers, which actually I put off one of the papers until after the whole show was over, and it was due literally the next day after the show was over. So I was like, oh great. So there's a couple things like. It is harder because you don't really do assignments, especially when you get full blown into dress rehearsals and like right before dress rehearsals, like that's like the full blow when you really push into the musical or even the play or whatever it is you're doing. And so that's like the hard part and like making sure you do your work, but at the same time you don't want to like just forget lines because you're too work on too much of your work.
Yeah, and so I know you did, and you did a great job. It was really cool, and Jared knows this. It was really cool for myself and my fiance. Obviously, we were in Hungary during this. We couldn't watch it, in person. But it was so cool this year that Cedarville was able to record their musicals and they didn't have musicals, their plays. And it was so cool that while I was over there, because I actually got to see the last play, but while I was over there, Rebecca and I, it was so cool. Like we end up, you pay a little bit of money and then you get to watch it. It was kind of weird, you feel like you're there, but you also like being the guy that went to Cedarville. I knew that the theater felt like, so it was kind of weird. I was like sitting on the couch, but then I felt like it was just weird. So we were able to watch that. It was really cool just to see Jared and see him kind of in his new element, kind of see him finally, really expand what he loves and his personality. And
that was in my territory.
It was. But then kind of going on, then you had a completely different role in the last play of the year. Explain that, kind of how that kind of came about and how that really helped you learn.
Yeah, so spring semester, obviously I didn't audition for the spring play, but I was in stagecraft, one of the theater classes we have to take. It's pretty much how you work backstage and as a stage manager and stuff like that. Anyways, so I was in stagecraft and because I had to usher for stagecraft for the spring play. So I was just planning on ushering for the play, taking people to their seats. If you don't know what that is, well, whatever. And so I was going to just have to usher. Well, then Tim, the production manager, he emails me and asks me, hey, do you want to run the ice fog machine? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I get to be backstage again in a play. I get to be, on stage in a play, do and be behind the scenes, which I've never done before.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, this is my only second ever play was Chekhov. So, two I've been in, I've just been a role. So to be behind the scenes was really cool. And I got a headset, which was awesome. And just to help bring a play to life was awesome. It was nice to help out with that and do something with it.
And it's kind of cool. I mean, I was able to go to the play, which was a really good play. Jared's actually wearing the shirt for the play. If you're watching, if you're listening, then just imagine it. But yeah, so it was really cool, and just to see again, it's another way, and Jared knows this. For basketball, for me, it's kind of in a similar. I had a similar story in a sense where I started out as just a student assistant that basically did film for my first year, did nothing else, right? Just film stuff, and then you move up, and then you keep changing position. And then my last year, my third year there, I was on the bench, which was one of the coolest experiences to getting to like sit on the bench during games, during important games, and helping make decisions and helping the coaches make decisions was just it. And so it's similar sense where you got to do different things and learn different things. So now explain kind of what is up with your senior year. What is the musicals that are coming up, plays? What is your goal for that? How do you see yourself taking part of that?
Yeah, so the fall play, I auditioned for, didn't get a part, but it's Anne of Green Gables. Hopefully, since everything's back normal, they'll actually have crews, and I can be a part of Run Crew again, so just be backstage again, behind the scenes, moving sets. And then the musical, which is in the winter, so like late January, first week of February, it is Meet Me in St. Louis.
That's a good one. My dad talks about it all the time, which is weird. It's weird that he talks about it. It's really great.
Planning to audition for that. And then in the spring, so like April, we are doing, I can't remember the name of it. Is it Dietrich Bonhoeffer?
Yeah.
It's called The Beams Are Creaking, I think. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, pretty much about his life story.
Yeah, so read
over
it.
in
Read
Nazi.
the books. Yeah, read the books.
And so
That's
obviously planning to audition for that. Because there's 8 guy roles, so I think it'd be hard for me not to get a role unless I'm absolutely trash.
And a big key, and you've even said a big key in theater is if you've already been there and they've seen you, it helps you.
Yeah, they kind of know.
It trusts you. They trust you a little bit more.
Yeah.
So a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
A lot of opportunities for you to grow. I know Jared's excited. He tends to talk about it quite a bit.
Oh yeah, love.
I will be honest with you. I am pretty much every morning. I have now memorized the 4 songs that he sings in the shower because it so happens that I do stuff right outside where the bathroom is. It's in the room that I stay in.
Gotta prepare for the
I am not
musical
kidding
audition.
you. I'm not kidding you. That guy, I mean, the songs just start getting annoying for me. He must love them because I just get the same playlist and it sings the same songs. All for what? Just to get a role, huh?
That and just to sing them because they're awesome.
But why change? There's so many other songs in this world you can change up.
Yeah, but they're musicals. It's awesome.
This man loves musicals, but I wanted to finish our conversation because I know you have a lot of dreams. You have a lot of what you want to do. Explain. This is kind of a 2 thing. I'll start with the first part. But what are your dreams with? I know you're a communication major, but what are your dreams when it comes to theater and how you want to possibly do that or be involved? What are those dreams for you?
So even though I'm not a theater major, I mean, a big dream would be on Broadway. It's like the hardest thing you could probably do as a theater person, and it's the hardest thing to get to. But as we know, with God, anything's possible. So that's like a big dream to act, but also if acting doesn't work out, just to work on Broadway, or work in like any like television or movie studio or something, just to work on if acting doesn't pan out or something, just to work in like either a company, like a television company or a movie production company, or just work in on Broadway somehow, even if it's not acting, just work on there somehow.
Awesome.
That's like the dream.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great dream. I mean, we all have those. My question would be this, and this just comes from more of a Christian perspective. How, we're in in the dark world of this world is becoming more darker as we're around it. How do you see yourself being the light in an industry that tends to not necessarily always show the light? How do you see yourself playing? Because that's a big question I know you get from a lot of people. Oh, yeah. Is how do you distinguish from being part of the world and being a part of that world, I should say, but not making it your world, but instead using God as the center of what you do?
Yeah, so like you said, theater is definitely a very secular place. And theater is like the easiest place to get another family of people around you. Even if it's secular, it's like a tight-knit group of people who you're with literally 24/7 all the time. Because, every day of the week there's a show and you're with them during that show. And so, or if it's just rehearsals, almost every day of the week you're with them in rehearsals. So you're literally with them either how long it takes rehearsals. So like in college, 3 months out of the year, 3 or 4 months out of the year, I'm literally with them all the time, unless it's over a break or something. And so when it comes to like, secular theater or community theater, theater that's not like a private Christian institution, it's just, being in the Word and then just showing God's love to those, like even like, and when you get offered a role that, it doesn't agree with your morals, just rejecting that role and saying, thanks for the offer, but I can't do that because of what I believe. And that's just, it's wrong. And, that sense is how you can, show your faith in like a secular environment like that.
And I mean,
especially with theater.
And like you said, you have a family atmosphere, and that's another question I was going to ask you, but you kind of covered it anyways. Yeah. Is you have a family atmosphere, you're around them all the time, and I would say you're going into it, if that's the route you go, that is a route, and really, honestly, any route we go now, it's become so secular, and it is hard to distinguish what is going to glorify God, but what is going to go against my beliefs, and it's one of those things where you really find out if you're truly following Christ when you can sit there and go, I'm not gonna do this job or do this role because now you're countering my beliefs, and they have to be willing to accept that. And if they truly are a family, like you said, these kind of people will accept you and for what you believe. So I know Jared. That's one thing that I always pray is like Jared can just find a place that works for him, and it's exciting to see. It's exciting to see how Jared has grown from, like I said, even last week, just to see where he's come from and now where he's at. And it's kind of cool as an older brother to see your younger brother, doing his own thing. And it's not necessarily, we're not doing the same things as we used to when we were younger. We're both doing our separate things, but at the same time, we're supporting each other and we want the best for each other, which is really cool. But Jared, I have finished with the question. So we did this last week, and I kind of love this. Whenever I should do this every time I have a guest on, but a question of the week is this. So it's kind of a two questions. Okay. First question: if you could be a part of any play, musical, whatever, what play is it for us people that don't know these plays or musicals? And then what's the role, like the role inside the play? What would this is so I know it's easy, but explain your reason why. Go on. All right,
easy. Dear Evan Hansen.
I knew he was going to say that.
Came in 2016. If you don't know it, you're crazy. There's actually a movie. They made a movie adaptation of it coming out on September 24th. You should go see it because they'll make you cry. I guarantee it. And I would easily choose to play Evan Hansen. Probably one of the hardest roles to play.
But do you think you could do it?
I think I could. If I really worked hard at it, I think I could do Evan Hansen. It's one of the hardest roles to play, but it is such a good role to play.
If that's what the thing is, that's what you're gonna do. So, the other question. This one might be a little tougher. Okay, if they could have a play or a musical about your life, okay, they created this musical, the Jared Bowden musical, or just Speed Rocket musical, or whatever. Who would play you? Who would play mom, dad, myself, or any of it, or even Rebecca? We can throw Rebecca in there too. Any actor or actress ever? Who could play? Then Rebecca, you can add her too if you want.
Wow. Well, I feel like if my Cedarville friends are watching this, I have to choose all of them.
No, you're not. Like out there, yeah, like famous actors, actresses.
I don't know. I feel like I have to choose people that look like us, but I don't know anybody that looks like us off the top of my head.
Think about the comedian that everyone says I look like.
I don't know.
John Crist.
You do not look like.
Yes, I do look like John Crist. I get told it all the time.
Okay, but if he can't sing, then he can't be in a musical.
Okay, well, whatever. So choose someone that not necessarily looks like you, but someone that you would want to play.
Just because he's an amazing actor and his voice is amazing and he plays Evan Hansen, Ben Platt would have to play me.
Of course.
Who
would play dad and who would play mom? Do you have an idea?
Oh man. I think we could get Hugh Jackman to play dad. He's not as like short and he's not as stocky, true. But it's Hugh Jackman. He has a good voice. Voight. I forget his first name, but he's a famous Christian actor. But
he'd kind of fit dad.
But since it's a musical,
yeah, true. Okay.
So
what about mom?
Mom? Oh Oh no. She's too old though. But like Julie, I was gonna say Julie Andrews, but she's too old. The person who plays Mary Poppins.
Okay, someone like that though. We don't.
But she's way too old for mom.
What about me?
Ooh.
I mean,
Jeremy Jordan can't play you.
little Chris Evans.
No.
Okay.
Although he can, I think he can sing. So that's interesting.
What's the guy from Beauty and the Beast? The
Josh
Beast,
Gad?
the Beast guy.
Oh, Dan Stevens. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I got a little Dan Stevens in me.
Dan Stevens would work. He's pretty tall. So.
Little Dan Stevens in me.
And
what about Rebecca?
Rebecca.
Like a younger,
someone.
I'm trying to think. I can't think of anybody. But.
Oh no, I've been trying to think of her name. The girl who plays Belle in Beauty and the Beast, and she also plays her.
Emma Watson.
Emma Watson.
That'd
I
be
knew it was
Rebecca?
Emma something.
Rebecca, you're going to be Emma Watson would play you in a musical.
And
about
she's
our
like
lives.
foreign. So
well, Jared's
sense.
musical about his life. That
it
we're
makes
just a
sense
part of.
because Emma Watson's foreign.
Okay, well that's true.
Foreign,
That's
so.
true.
So
So
she's British, so it doesn't really make sense.
Oh, stop, Jared, stop. Okay. So thank you, Jared, for these last 2 weeks. It's been fun to kind of redo the Old Bros Knows podcast. But it's fun to have people on, family, friends. As you know, that's one of my favorite things is to share with you guys some people that have an impact on my life. I love my brother. He's had a big impact on my life. What we've grown up together, have done a lot of things together. So I just want to thank him coming on. If you've loved this episode of the podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you have it there, favorite it. Make sure it's right there on your whatever computer or wherever, so that way you can listen to it every week. If you're on YouTube and you've watched it and you listened, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That'll allow you to see all the new podcast episodes coming out, all my new videos that will be coming out. Maybe more interviews with people. Who knows? We'll see what happens, especially when I go back to Hungary. There'll be a lot more stuff. So once again, I just want to say thank you. And remember this. We serve an amazing God. And He is faithful. And we can trust Him. And as always, we'll talk next time.
Adios, amigos, amigas.